Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ness from Traversing Trauma, and today I'm going to be talking to you about working with C-PTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Before I get into it, I just wanted to give you an update on my week. Something in my eye. So I've been meaning to record, and I've had a few ideas of what I wanted to talk about. Last week I was feeling very low energy. I tend to get very overwhelmed by things. My hair hadn't been washed for a few days, and I thought, you know what would be a great idea? If I wash my hair on camera. I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea. I decided to motivate myself because I was feeling pretty down. So I thought, you know what? I will record myself washing my hair. For some reason, I don't know why. So anyway, I was recording myself washing my hair, and I dropped my phone in the sink and it stopped charging, which made me feel pretty down, if I'll be honest. I was like to my husband, can you please fix my phone? And he managed to shake a lot of the water out, and we put it in some rice, so it was working finally, yay. But I was feeling pretty stressed and pretty down. It even though my idea was to make me feel better, it actually made me feel worse. So that kind of sucked. I also bought this week a little handy dandy device. It goes around my neck to record when I'm outside. I'll show you guys. Hang on a sec. Oh. So it's this little cool little contraption. Basically put it around your neck and clip it in. Man, it looks really hard. Clip it in, and you put your phone or camera in here, and you record. You record like this. You hold it. It holds your phone or camera around your neck, so while you're out and about, you can get some cool footage like that. So I decided, I was walking my daughter in the stroller, and we went for a walk, and I thought, okay, this would be a good opportunity to test it out. So I put my phone in there, and while I was walking, it happened to fall out, and my phone fell on the ground, and I thought, oh my gosh, like, what is happening? My phone is broken for sure, but luckily it wasn't. But yeah, it was a pretty terrible week in terms of my phone and all that. Yeah, is this a sign? Maybe it's a sign for me to not record. But then I received some lovely messages from you guys, and it motivated me to keep going. So I'm really grateful for your comments and your words of encouragement. Thank you so much. So anyway, let's get into it. Today I want to talk about working with C-PTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. For those of you who don't know what C-PTSD is, it's similar to PTSD, I guess the more well-known condition, I guess. Post-traumatic stress disorder, so when you witness a traumatic event, it can have a negative effect on you, a negative impact on you. You can have flashbacks and emotional dysregulation and triggers and things like that. Complex PTSD is just instead of maybe one significant trauma, you have multiple traumas that occur over a prolonged period of time. For me, I talked about this in my previous video. So it's essentially what C-PTSD is in a nutshell. Today I wanted to talk about how it affects work and employment. I did talk about this a little bit in my previous video, how C-PTSD kind of made me feel very on edge. I lived in a state of fight or flight, so I was always on the lookout for any bad things to happen. And it's a scary place. Work is a scary place when you have a lot of anxiety and you have a lot of fear especially when that fear comes from, being afraid of how people are going to treat you. You're afraid of being hurt. You're afraid of being isolated, being put down. You're just living in a state of fear. Like you don't want these things to happen again, to keep happening in your life. And when you work, you're basically putting yourself out there. If you're working in a customer facing job, you're essentially putting yourself in the front line of potential abuse from customers, even dealing with other co-workers. Like, they might be stressed, managers under the pump, they may target you essentially, and yeah, you're just afraid of, what might happen at work, in the workplace. So it completely makes sense why, you might wake up, and this was basically me, every morning feeling a sense of dread, like, I don't want to go to work today. What's going to happen? Is someone going to yell at me? Am I going to get embarrassed in front of, all of my team members? It's a very scary place. And that's not your fault. Like, your brain is essentially protecting you. There's a little part inside your brain that sends you into kind of like a state of fight or flight. When you're faced with a situation that's, anxiety inducing or scary, or your brain perceives it as a threat, your brain sends messages to your body to prepare yourself to either fight the situation, flee the situation, so running away. There are two other types as well. Freezing, so you basically just freeze and you don't know what to do. And fawn, where you kind of try to make situations go smoother, but tend to be at the expense of yourself. Working can be tough for someone with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I don't know if workplaces are at a stage where they fully understand what to do with an employee that has C-PTSD. I understand where workplaces come from. They're worried about losing efficiency and losing potential income, things like that. But yeah, it would be nice if workplaces were more accommodating to people who have various conditions. There are a lot of us that can do amazing work, but we just need the right conditions in a workplace to be able to achieve them. There's a lot of questions about, what do I do in the workplace? Like, should I disclose my condition to my employer? Should other people know about my condition? And it varies. It really depends on a level of trust. How much do you trust your employer? You have to kind of be a bit switched on, and it's a process, I think, that you need to make a very well-informed decision for. You need to decide whether or not you think that your employer would be able to understand where you're coming from and be open to hearing about reasonable accommodations for you in the workplace. So I think that we have a long way to go in terms of workplace acceptance of conditions like C-PTSD. I was working at a post office. I'm a very Christmassy kind of person, so I got the job actually around Christmas, and I kind of felt like an elf in Santa's mailroom, just kind of like sorting through the mail. So that was pretty fun, and it was a mixture of working with people and then kind of working in the back and working on my own. So when things kind of got a bit overwhelming, I could just kind of step out the back and sort some mail, sort some parcels. However, around this time, I was starting uni. I didn't know at the time, but I started kind of developing the symptoms of depression. That kind of like negative spiral of thoughts and shame and things like that started to affect me. It was hard for me to put on that kind of like mask, essentially that kind of customer service mask where I had to have a smile on my face all the time because I just wasn't feeling it. I'd make, some mistakes at work, and then my boss would call me aside and say, hey, you've done this. And I took it so hard. Like I took it, yeah, I started kind of beating myself up on the inside, and I just wanted to be perfect at work. I just wanted to do everything right. And, I think that stems from, like a trauma kind of response where, you want to do everything right. You don't want to do things wrong because you don't want the punishment or, the negative consequences associated with that. Just before that happened, I was trying to get a job in health because that's what I was studying at the time. And everything was going well. And then apparently they found some issue with me, which now I look back, I think it was an age discrimination thing. But yeah, it really tanked my mental health and my self-esteem. Everything just like built up on top of each other, and there were just lots of periods of my life where I just found it difficult to work, and then I'd get, some kind of motivation to want to work. I wanted to have a purpose. I wanted to feel like I was contributing to something, to society. Everything kind of led up to a period of, I would say, severe depression, where I essentially laid in bed for a year straight. And very, very rarely got up. That was probably the lowest period of my life. After that period of time, I decided to look for jobs again. I treated it as a job, essentially. I wrote down a list of skills that I had, interests that I had, what I wanted in a job, what I didn't want in a job. I just wrote lists and lists of things, and I kind of combined them all together and tried to figure out what kind of job that I could do. I didn't put like an immense amount of pressure on myself like I had done previously. It was just one step at a time, even if it's just a job that's 1 hour a week or whatever. I was very fortunate. I was living with my partner at the time. So I was just looking around, and I just felt like, what would be great if I could work for myself somehow. Yeah, okay, it might be a lot of effort, but at least I would feel like I was in control of my work. So, if I didn't want to work that day, I didn't have to work that day. I started off doing pet sitting. Working with animals, I think is really healing for people with C-PTSD. Animals can be so loving and friendly, and they don't have the same intentions that humans do. So yeah, I essentially started out dog walking, pet sitting, house sitting, and I really loved it. I loved being able to represent myself. I wasn't representing a company. I wasn't the face of a company. If they didn't want to work with me, they didn't have to work with me. I did that for a few years, and yeah, okay, it wasn't full-time work. It was something. It made me feel like I had, I guess, a sense of purpose again, and I was doing something. But I felt like I really wanted to help people. I wanted to help people get jobs. I wanted to help people be able to work despite having conditions that affect them. I found a job that helped young people with disabilities to get into the workplace. I found it really rewarding. It was a really good environment because we could, stay focused on tasks, but then, it wasn't like an incredibly like social or political type of environment. It was just, working with these young people and, chatting about their lives and, what they were getting up to and things like that. So I found that really rewarding. I feel like people with C-PTSD, we can be very caring, nurturing individuals. And sometimes it can be very therapeutic in a way to, look after something and kind of take a break from, being so in our own head. So those were the two kinds of jobs that I did that I really thoroughly enjoyed, and I felt helped me start to build my confidence back up again. Freelance writing, dog walking, pet sitting, house sitting, support work, even becoming a counselor yourself. That's something that I was looking into as well. These kind of jobs give you the flexibility to be able to, have some semblance of control over your work environment, which I think is really important for people with CPTSD. If you have any ideas about jobs that you think are suitable for CPTSD, I'd love to hear them. Please comment down below. I love chatting with you guys so much. I'm all rambled out. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I had to say about working with CPTSD. If you have any ideas, any comments, any suggestions, please comment down below. Subscribe to my channel so you can hear my updates and, tips on my journey recovery with CPTSD. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.